Following World War II, a rivalry between the US and USSR transpired as both countries looked to gain power and spread their ideas. Entrenched in the Cold War was the space race. The space race began when the Soviets launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. 12 years later, the Americans assumed dominance with the successful landing of Apollo 11 on the moon. Though most consider the landing to be the end of the space race, some argue that the race was still continued after and may be continuing today. The space race was well documented and publicized, and most Americans knew the basic events.
I knew just about everything. I watched TV all the time when I heard anything was on about the space program.
However, the way the race was portrayed to the American people was not entirely reflective of the opinions of those who were involved. The feelings of the scientists and leaders were different to those of the common people due to the simplified explanation and exaggerated drama produced by the media.
Oh, I think we were very well informed. The TV gave us a good outlook on everything that was happening.
Through the medium of the TV, the race was exaggerated into a competition between the two countries. Television spread information like wildfire across the public, informing everyone about the space race.
Oh, I think it would, well, maybe they would have gone on radio, but it wouldn't have been as exciting and everything because you wouldn't have been able to see the people.
The presence of a visual component of the television raised the excitement and piqued the interest of the public.
Yes, and every time it was on TV, everybody was glued to their TVs to watch everything that was going on.
The space race became a top subject in the news.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that never thought about people going to the moon.
As a result of the spin that the media put on the space race, the general public viewed it as a monumental race that the U.S. must win.
I do think it was a race. I think the Russians wanted to be first, because they always did.
However, the scientists' feelings on the project were different from the common viewpoint. They did not think of it as a race between the countries.
The engineers and the technicians and scientists working on it, they weren't trying to beat someone else. They were just trying to, it was tough enough to actually to get to the moon.
The scientists felt that the race itself was more of a political issue exaggerated by JFK.
No, that was a economic and political race, or if you will.
From the political point of view, I know the Kennedy thing, his only object of doing it was to beat the Russians.
Scientists cared much more about their specific compartmentalized jobs than about the race itself.
Determined to make that date, but we were also, didn't care what the media thought.
They did not feel the pressure of a rivalry between the U.S. and USSR because it was merely a fabrication and exaggeration created by the media.
Much pressure. I think the pressure was to do it right.
The scientists' focus was much more about the quality of the job rather than finishing faster than the Russians.
In this case, in the Apollo project, the thing was quality more than putting it out the door.
The focus on quality was due to the dangers of space.
There's a tremendous risks for the individuals. It's an extremely dangerous and difficult thing to go into space.
Some of these dangers were due to the unpredictability of space. Many events did not go as expected.
Everything didn't always go exactly as they planned, and there were failures here and failures there. Apollo 13 did not land on the moon. And when they went behind the moon, nobody had any idea whether they would come back around.
One example of the dangers of space was Challenger. Challenger was produced by NASA and was designed to be launched into orbit in January of 1986. Challenger broke apart after 73 seconds of flight, and the entire crew was killed.
The danger was very real, and I think they took it. NASA took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And I think during the Challenger thing, which followed, of course, they kind of dropped their guard a bit, and they were looking to make money on the thing.
Despite monumental successes and failures, the hard and detailed work of the scientists paid off as powers shifted from Russia to the United States. The successful landing of Apollo 11 not only showed U.S. superiority, but it helped create many new technological advances. Media, textbooks, and legends create dramatic situations and patriotic heroes. But the oral accounts of scientists show that despite the significant effects of the race, the fight to ascend into the unknown was not about the political aspect of beating the Soviets, but rather getting into space safely.